Oh, it's a great slate. It's a Wednesday night slate, folks. It's unbelievable. One of my favorite slates of the whole year. So many cool games, so many matchups now. NFL slowed down conference championships. Can't wait for tonight. Got a lot to say here. Some plays, some no plays. Either way, let's get the conversation going here. Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer, FTN here. Make sure to join us. Follow us here. All the great stuff. FTN Bets. Got to get in here. We got Frank Branks Models. We have Mike Kutry, who's killing it. Walt Waddell does everything late at night. You got Matt Josephs. Our whole team is getting focused. We're getting primed. We're getting a good read. We're getting hot right now as we're approaching March Madness. Best time of the year. Can't beat it, of course. And something else you can't beat, folks, make sure that you're going to go to Better. We have a partnership with Better. We love Better. Put in the promo code MONEY, MONEY. They will give you a deposit match. They will double your deposit up to $500. Go to Better. Get in. They got some great props available in certain states, but there's a great opportunity because we've just gotten here where it continues to grow across the country. Use Better. Use the promo code MONEY. You won't be disappointed. We have people in the house here. I'm very excited. We've been talking about the picks online here. So ready to rock and roll. Can't wait. Let's get into it. First game I feel compelled to talk about here because my buddy Perky Sanderson on X brought this up. We're going to get into it right now. Let's start. I am taking Furman -2.5 against Samford. Here's the deal. Samford right now is due for some regression. And what you always want to do, and what I do with my handicapping, is I want to look for regression. Regression because the team is playing poorly and I think they're better. Regression because the team is playing well and I think they're not as good. Regression because of a head coach who struggled, but normally he has a track record of sustained success. That's what you want. Samford enters this game with the nation's longest active winning streak at 17 games. Now you're going to say they're steamrolling. I get it. And they're 6-0 here in the SoCon. Here's my argument against them. They are shooting 42.3% from three-point range. That's number one in the SoCon. It's not even close. And they've done a nice job against teams like the Citadel, VMI, Mercer, all of those games. But now they're playing the Grand Poobah, if you will, going back to happy days there, from the SoCon, which is Furman and Bob Ritchie. Bob Ritchie's team is 4-2. They started 0-2 here in the conference, and they are finally healthy. They have players back, and they had a nice win at home over Western Carolina. Marcus Foster is back. Pegues, all of those guys. I am taking Furman -2.5. You look at this and you say, why on earth would Samford, who's scalding hot at 17-2, who has won 17 straight games because they started 0-2 with a loss to Purdue and VCU, why would they need to get points? Because at some point, everyone's going to regress, and this is a Furman team that is very tough at home, and this is a Samford team that is not great defensively and is not great on the defensive boards, and Furman is up to the task, ready to rock and roll. They also are number 2 in the SoCon, Furman, at defending that three-pointer, holding opponents under 30%. Next game here, VMI and East Tennessee State. What I have found this year with the handicapping is when a team starts getting well and start playing well, I'm not going to jump off them. I'm going to stay on the momentum here. This is a VMI team that just beat the Citadel at home. They have had some very tough games, and they've allowed a lot of points. However, East Tennessee State is not a team that is great on offense. It is not a team that's going to score a ton of points. They rank 221st in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're only 70% from the free throw line. They don't shoot the three well. They're shooting 27.4% from three-point range. So VMI at home getting 10.5. They can score. They can shoot it. I think it's too much here. I am taking VMI plus 10.5 because I don't think East Tennessee State has enough offense to go on the road and win by double digits. Riding with UNC Asheville here. UNC Asheville has been printing money for us lately, has done a fantastic job, and I'm going back to them again here with Asheville. Asheville, slow start, struggled early, but has won 4 of their last 5. The only game they lost was away at High Point, who's really good, and they covered because it was 5.5 for us. Now they're playing Radford here at home. They're 4-1. They're great from three-point shooting. They're the most efficient team in the Big South inside the arc because Drew Pember's a monster inside, and they're the most efficient defensive team inside the arc. They're number 1 in tempo. They're number 1 in effective field goal percentage in the Big South, and they're number 1 in effective field goal percentage allowed. Now they're playing Radford. This is not a vintage Radford team under Darius Nichols. They do play at the slow pace, but they're terrible on the defensive boards. They aren't shooting it that well. They're not great from the free throw line. They've been very up and down. win over USC upstate at home by 3. Prior to that, a loss at home to Gardner-Webb. Prior to that, a 3-overtime loss to Winthrop, which is a big rivalry game. I don't think they have it. I'm taking UNC Asheville minus 5.5. Going with Seton Hall here. I'm going to ride with Seton Hall until they burn me. And they almost did last time, but they deserve to win that game because there's no reason that referee should blow that whistle against Creighton on the late steal to see if they got the layup or not. He blew it right away. It wasn't even that big a foul. You know the way the NBA ref, which I love, is they wait to see if the contact affects the shot. That whistle shouldn't have been blown. Seton Hall should have won the game. They go to overtime in Creighton, and we get the 3 there late to cover, which is fine. I think they bounce back here against Providence. Providence now has not played for a week besides the game at DePaul. So now they're going against Seton Hall, and one of the best coaches in the country is Shaheen Holloway, who's done a masterful job with the Seton Hall team. Their defense is for real. You know that Providence is trying to overcome Bryce Hopkins. They're gritty. They're gutty. Maduro, of course, a lot of players here who can score for them. And the guy who's really been the key is Devin Carter, who's been fantastic. But I don't think they're winning this game on the road. I trust Seton Hall's defense. I like them coming off a loss. This line's only 3.5. I'd expect it to be 4.5, 5. That's where I would go. I'm taking them as well. I see the comments coming in. We'll get to them shortly. You knew I was going here. Listen, my read on the coaches has been right this year. I, for some reason, jumped on Ergo and Fordham, and I got burned with them twice. And I am not jumping off this one. I think Mike White is off to a great start, but I think he is going to start regressing because his offense just isn't that good. Georgia has lost 2 of their last 3 after going 12-3. They lost to Tennessee at home. They lost to Kentucky away. No shame in either one of those. They actually won away at South Carolina, which was a big, big win. But they have Florida coming up. They have Alabama after that. And I think LSU is up for the task here, has been very competitive under Matt McMahon. They're great on defense. They're great defending the 3. They're great defending inside the arc. And teams have shot an unrealistic 76.3% from the free throw line against them. So LSU played Auburn away, lost, hung around, a tough game. They beat Mississippi at home, a good Mississippi team by 9, and they hung 89 points on them. Texas A&M away, home rather, they battled. Texas A&M came all the way back, won that game, but there's no shame in that. I think LSU keeps it close. I think it's a look-ahead spot for Georgia. I get it if you want to stay with Georgia because you like Georgia. I am not buying Mike White. I'm not leaving my wingman. I have certain coaches I like, certain coaches I don't like. I'm fine with adjusting. For example, Hubert Davis, I am adjusting because R.J. Davis is just that good for North Carolina, but I'm not leaving on this one. This one feels horrific, and I know you can't believe that I'm picking it. But I think, again, I think Virginia is eventually going to get it going. And Virginia here played away at NC State. And I will tell you that I love these bounce back spots where the team that lost the first game, sometimes by a lot, gets a rematch with the team at home. It is very, very difficult because of parity in college basketball to win and cover both of those situations. I am going back to Virginia here. I can hear my brother-in-law yelling at me because we've gotten burned by Virginia so many times. NC State is very up and down. Virginia beat Virginia Tech at home by 8. That's a Virginia Tech team. It's better than NC State. They went away at Georgia Tech, and that second half, they were dominant against Georgia Tech. Virginia got rolling there. They outscored them in the second. They hung 42 points on Virginia Tech in the second half. Their offense started clicking. McNeely was 6-9 from three-point range. Reese Beekman started scoring again. Ryan Dunn, again, very up and down. I think their defense is too strong, and I think NC State's offense here is going to struggle. They're only shooting 30% from three-point range. NC State, the reason they lost to North Carolina is they could not make a damn shot, and that has nothing to do with North Carolina's defense. It has everything to do with NC State. No one's going to like this. It's 6 points with an anemic offense in Virginia. I am laying the points here because it's a Tony Bennett regression, revenge game, whatever you want to look at. One more, and then I'll get to the comments. This one doesn't feel great. This one doesn't feel great, but it's a regression play. I think Miami's good. They have struggled all year long, and that was a terrible last-second loss to Syracuse. So it's a buy low spot for Miami. They've lost 4 of 5, Miami, with the majority of their team back and a legendary coach in Jim Larinaga. Wake Forest away, lost, even though Poplar in that game. Louisville home, terrible loss. Florida State home, lost. Syracuse, I'm going to keep doing it. I know it doesn't feel great, and a lot of people are going to want Notre Dame, but you know what? Notre Dame's cooled off a little bit. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They lost at home to Florida State. The freshman guards are adjusting. They're good. I mean, they're going to be really good. Burton and Shrewsbury are going to be very good, but they're still freshmen. This is still an older team in Miami. doesn't feel great. You know, if it gets up to 5.5, that's the most uncomfortable number ever to lay. But we are going with Miami here, laying 4.5. Let's get to the comments across the board. Trevor in the house. Love having you, Trevor. I got to get you on the payroll. Is Alabama or Nevada the fade sharp home team tonight? 2 unranked teams laying points. Alabama feels fraudulent. Oh, Trevor, we'll cover both of those. Don't worry about it. SoCon is cooking tonight, Colby. It's going to be fantastic. Furman, I'm with Furman. You show me. The only reason Samford beat Western Carolina is because it's sure, the game of his life. 5-9 from three-point range when he made 17 total threes in the last 2 years. Not buying it again. I'm going to regret saying this, Mike. It's a fair point, Colby. I'm not going to say that the Georgia is one of my top plays. I'm not. It's just I started reversing trend on Keith Ergo and these guys who I think I have a read on, who I don't think have been great against the spread historically. I think I have a read on them. I think everyone's going to pound Georgia tonight because they're going to think Georgia's going to blow them out. Maybe they will. Not one of my top plays, but I'm not leaving my wingman on this one. Thank you. Are you going only? No. What we do here, is that Poe? I think it's Poe. Yeah. What we're doing here, Poe, is we go 3 days a week. So this week it is Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. And by the way, guys, announcement, the Saturday show is now going to be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 2 reasons for that. 1, because I want to give more time for the picks to be out. And number 2, because we are doing sort of a collaborative here with Action Network where I'm going to appear on their show at 10:30 for a little bit, promote FTN, our play of the day. But you guys will get the plays first. Don't worry about it. It'll be in Discord. You guys will have a lead on everyone. But the show will be 9:30 now on Saturdays. But Poe, once NFL ends, I think we'll go back to our regular Monday, Wednesday, Saturday show. Saturday's a given. We never lose that one. But we want to have where the majority of games are. So I look every week and I change it Wednesday, Thursday this week. Providence has Georgetown on deck. I get that. And that played into last night. I should have played Butler. That was annoying me. Miami is very good. Joey, I get it. Joey, great to have you here as always. I get it, Joey. Miami has been terrible, but they're way too talented. And at some point, just like a great team is going to regress, like Samford tonight, a bad team that's playing poor is going to regress the other way. Buy low, spot on Ben. I agree with you. Are we covering Maryland, Iowa? Yes, we are. I'm ready, guys. Let's get back to the action here. I want to get you in and out, make sure we get to everything. I think Temple stinks. I put this in this morning, guys. It is flipped to -1.5. Temple is one of those teams that I've looked at. They are just not good. They struggle. They turn the ball over. They're not making shots. Remember, South Florida, still super impressive South Florida in that big comeback there against Memphis. It was a tremendous win. They have won South Florida now. What is it? Yeah, 8 of their last 9 games. The only loss was UAB away, which they covered. They have beaten Alabama State, within conference rather. In the AAC, they beat Temple already. UAB, Rice, Memphis, and Wichita State. So most of you will say that we should go to Temple here because South Florida beat them already. There are exceptions. There are no hard and fast rules in college basketball gambling. I am going South Florida because I think Amir Abdul-Rahim is the better coach. I am going South Florida because I think their defense is legit. I am going South Florida because I don't think Temple can score enough. So this is the one time I'm doing the opposite with the flip-flop here. I am taking South Florida to sweep Temple. We'll see if that comes back to bite me. People are worried about this game. You know, Bradley at home, I put the Hulk gif out, back and forth. The only concern here, guys, is who does Bradley have coming up? They're at Indiana State, okay? The look-ahead thing is not perfect. There's been plenty of times this year where the team that's looking ahead has actually done very well. It's just a concern. They played Indiana State and lost 85-77 back on December 2nd. But Brian Wardell is going to tell them that Indiana State game on Saturday means nothing if you lose today. Because if you lose today, that's our 3rd Missouri Valley Conference loss. You're facing an Indiana State team that would then have a 2-game lead on us because they're 7-1, and they sure as heck are beating Chicago today. That's for darn sure. Indiana State. We'll get to that one also. So I don't think Bradley stumbles here. It's 8.5. It's stayed at 8.5, which does make us nervous. I think Bradley gets the job done. I don't think it's a look-ahead spot. I'm taking them there. Do I need to explain this one, or can we just move on, guys? Do I need to explain this? The only time we have bet against Fordham and gotten burned is when they go ballistic from 3-point range. But Archie Miller's team has been playing well. They hit a buzzsaw in Dayton, but they're rebounding well. They're great on the offensive boards. They've done well at home. Fordham burns us when they make 1,000,000 threes. Well, they make 19 threes at George Washington in the triple overtime win. I'll roll the dice on that one. I'm taking Rhode Island -2.5. I am taking Iowa here. It's a Kevin Willard spot. Kevin Willard spot on the road. Big game. They finally got some momentum here. You have Iowa coming off the loss to Purdue, 14 points. That was uncomfortable. But when they're home, they beat Rutgers at home and scored 86. They need to beat Nebraska at home and scored 94. They scored 101 against Northern Illinois. They stink, but they've scored big points here. North Florida, they hung 103. Arkansas State, they hung 88. They score. So is Maryland going to be able to play enough defense to slow down Iowa? No, I don't think they are. So then the question is, can they score enough offense to keep this within 6? No, I don't think they can. They've lost 4 of their last 5, and Maryland's away games here, they beat Illinois. That was more of a matchup thing. They lost away at Minnesota. They lost away at Northwestern. They grinded to a halt, but Iowa can get up on you in a hurry here. Big game for Iowa. They are 3-4. They want to make the tournament. McCaffrey is proud of that. There's even been rumors that McCaffrey's on the hot seat out in Iowa, which is kind of weird. And how many coaches are going to get are going to do a better job in Iowa? I like them here. I'm laying the points. I like Western Carolina. You know that. The only reason Western Carolina lost that last game is they could not make a shot. Now, they are not great from the outside, Western Carolina, but they are tough at home, and they are coming off 2 straight losses to really good teams in Samford and Furman. Western Carolina, with all the greatness that is Montarius Woolbright and the 3-guard alignment, they've played probably the 2 toughest teams they're going to play in Samford and Furman. And Furman is ranked 140 in KenPom because their players were injured. They are a much better team than that. They lost by 3 away. They lost the game home to Samford because Achor went nuts. It's time to take it out on UNC Greensboro. I like UNC Greensboro when they're playing a big-time team and they're a huge underdog. I don't like them in this spot here. I like Western Carolina -1.5. This game's going to be a track meet. It's not high enough. It's Longwood, Gardner Webb. I'm taking the over 143. Been sprinkling a little bit on some props. Lost the Hunter Dickinson one the other day, which was annoying. A little banged up. Thought he'd get a 3 because I thought the bigs inside for Cincinnati would draw him out a little bit. Didn't happen, but I'm going for some totals and I'm going for some props. Gardner Webb at Longwood over 143.5. The pace for this one is going to be way up and down. Gardner Webb had a great comeback for us last Saturday. We started hot last Saturday. Early on, we were great. Lost our last few games late at night to sort of even it out. But for most of the day, we were doing very well. Great win by Gardner Webb. We're going with them as well. I'm avoiding this one. I know you're going to ask me about it. Wofford, new coach, Chattanooga. Chattanooga can make 1,000,000 threes. Wofford's been terrible defending the 3 this year. This is a spot that I would normally pick Wofford, but I don't know if I trust them as much because they've struggled here. Chattanooga, Dan Earl has his style. The lines end up being inflated because when they're hot, they score 1,000,000 points, and then when they're cold, they can get upset. It's only 1.5. It's a stay away. I do like Wofford, but it's an official no pick for the show because we're dealing with a first-year coach. We're dealing with a Wofford team that is worse than ever at defending the 3. Little frisky for me. Can't do it. Yeah, I'm going with Auburn here. I'm going with Auburn. I think Alabama, much like Creighton last night, thank you. You got the over Creighton, but you didn't get the cover. I think Alabama is fraudulent. I got them and Creighton on fraud alert. Everything's got to be 3-point range. They're top 20 in the country in 3-pointers, points generated from 3-point range. And if you go within the SEC, there is no team in the SEC that is generating more of their points from 3-point range than Alabama. Alabama in conference play is generating 50.4% of their points from 3-point range. And who are they running in tonight? An Auburn team that's top 20 in the country at defending the 3 and is number 1 in the SEC at defending the 3. Auburn has had success in Alabama before. Auburn last year lost twice to Alabama, including in overtime in the away game, which was really rough. And then the year before, they beat Alabama 100-81, and then they beat Alabama away 81-77. So Pearl has no problem here with Nate Oates' scheme. This is an Alabama team that does not play defense. Their metrics are way worse than they've been in the past. It's a rivalry game. I'm taking the 3.5 with Auburn here. I know it's on the road, but I am. I'll take Valparaiso plus 14 at Southern Illinois. We love Xavier Johnson. I just don't know if they can cover this line. It's very similar last night to Wyoming at San Diego State. I just thought it was too many points. For the majority of that game, Wyoming was within one basket or winning. And then, of course, San Diego State pulled away, and we did cover by 1.5. Valparaiso here they're coming off a win over Illinois Chicago, and they did beat Illinois State away. Again, going back to regression. Valparaiso's playing a lot better, and I don't think Southern Illinois, even though they're at home, I don't think they're covering this number. I do expect them to win, and I'm sure Xavier Johnson's going to have like 30 points. I just think it's too much. They've lost 3 tough games to Drake, Bradley, and Northern Iowa. I think 14's a lot. We're going to take Valparaiso there. You saw my tweet that I put out about FAU. You can continue to give me these double-digit points with FAU, these spreads. I'm going to go the other side because they have just not stopped anyone for defense, which is why we are taking Rice plus 12.5, and we're also going to the over on 152. They don't play defense. They're arrogant. They think they can outscore you. They're not locking down. Maybe they're afraid of foul trouble. But I put this tweet out before, and I'll pull it up right now. FAU in their last few games, they're just getting massive, massive point spreads, and they're not covering. And Vegas is not adjusting because they continue to think they're going to come back and they're going to get things going again. I put this one out the other day. FAU with their point spreads the last couple games are massive. Favored by 17.5 at Florida Gulf Coast, lost the game outright. Favored by 17 at home to East Carolina, didn't cover. Favored by 8 at Charlotte, lost outright. Favored by 7 at Tulane, won by 1. Favored by 15 at home to UAB, didn't cover. Favored by 16 at home to Wichita, didn't cover. Favored by 16.5 at UTSA, didn't cover. Even though that game went to overtime and they almost did cover, I'm taking it until further notice here. I'm not going to play a guessing game that, this is going to be the day that Florida Atlantic covers. I've won a ton of money on those last few picks, and I'll roll with it until I'm struggling, until they reverse it for me. Tulane and UTSA. Tulane is a team I always like to fade. UTSA played very well against Florida Atlantic. And my issue with Tulane, first of all, we have a letdown spot with Tulane with a big win over Memphis. But secondly, Tulane doesn't want to get into foul trouble, plays at a fast pace, and is not very deep. So they allow points here. UTSA going to be upset after that really rough loss to Florida Atlantic. They've lost 4 games in a row, including 3. They beat Rice in overtime. They lost to Memphis away at overtime. They lost to Florida Atlantic home in overtime. They're playing better. So I get it. Tulane likes to run it up here. To me, it's a letdown spot. It's 6.5. I'm taking it. I don't know what the love is for Florida. I can't figure it out. For some reason, maybe Todd Golden has friends here on the committee. Mississippi State is a quality team under Chris Jans. They are now healthy. They don't make free throws, which is a problem, but they are strong defensively. They are playing a Florida team here that has Georgia coming up at home. So you know that's a rivalry battle. I am not buying Florida. They don't make free throws either. Their defensive metrics are terrible, and they never turn you over. So you have Mississippi State under Chris Jans, who's going to play tough defense, who's going to rebound the ball well. You have Florida, who doesn't turn you over and is not great on the defense. I think it's too many points. I like Mississippi State here. I don't know the love of Florida. I don't get it. I didn't like Florida away at Tennessee. I didn't like Florida against Mississippi away. I didn't like Florida against Kentucky. I was back and forth on that game. Don't love it. Don't love it here. Going with it as well. And I also think that Mississippi State's going to get their pace. So I like the under in this spot. One of the games that I missed yesterday that I should have put in was I really liked the Kentucky-South Carolina under because I thought South Carolina would get their pace, even though I thought Kentucky would win. This is one I'm going with. I think Mississippi State gets their pace here against Florida, which is why we're going under as well. Let's see. A couple comments here flying in. I want to let them go. I apologize for that. Jerry, love the analysis. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I love Bart Torvik, Ben. I jump back and forth with Torvik as well, which is fantastic. Let's see. Yeah, Ben, we're excited about the partnership with Action. We're excited about that. I'll have the FTN pick of the day there, just doing some stuff back and forth, which we're thrilled about. Bama and Creighton are the same teams. Me, Jerry, I agree with you. I don't like their defense, and Creighton is even worse because Creighton will drive the basket and give up a wide open layup to chuck it back out for 3, which to me is just insane. All the metrics love Alabama, but they're soft. I'm looking at you, Grant Nelson. Yeah, everybody loves Alabama. I get it. I just think Auburn, it's a rivalry game. I'm always going to take the points there as well. Bobby, appreciate you, man. Always watching. Thank you very, very much. A couple of the games. I have bet on St. John's so many times. You guys must be sick of hearing it, but I don't like Villanova. I like St. John's. They're healthy. They're back. They've been battling COVID. Everyone looks like they're playing tonight. I think that they Dingle is playing tonight. Yep. And I don't like Villanova in this spot. I love Patino. Love this St. John's team. They're coming together. The line's a little low because they struggled lately. They should have won that Creighton game, though. You guys know that. I'm taking St. John's here. And there are teams that I don't like, and I don't like Kyle Neptune and Villanova at all. St. John's, 3 straight losses. Creighton, which they should have won. Seton Hall, where Patino had COVID. And the Marquette game where they fought like hell, but lost by 1 at home, even though they were shorthanded. Now they're ready to go. I don't think they lose 4 in a row. I don't think they lose back-to-back games here. Villanova, also struggling, lost 3 of 4. I'm taking St. John's tonight. I give up on Arkansas. I don't think they can score. Mississippi needs this game and plays much better at home. Mississippi has been a team that people have put on fraud alert because they've struggled on the road. Their last 3 away games, lost by 26 to Tennessee, lost by 9 to LSU, lost by 23 to Auburn. But at home, they've been really, really good. I expect to bounce back. I think they'll be good tonight. Don't like Arkansas. Don't like their offense here. Also like the under in this matchup because I think Mississippi locks you down. That when they've been home their last few games, they've allowed 56 points. And they can really lock you down and keep teams from getting up and down the floor. They only gave up 77 points at home, which if you double that is 154 against Memphis. And they're playing Arkansas tonight, who's anemic. Bounce back spot here. If Lipsy plays, this line's going to go up. I'm picking it either way. Don't trust Kansas State away from home. Loved Otzelberger. That was a huge win for Iowa State the other day. Got it for us. We got the pick, and then all of a sudden Lipsy was ruled out right away. But that was a huge win for us the other day with Iowa State against TCU away. They battled BYU and the player got ejected. Things got out of control there, but they beat Houston at home by 4, and now they got beat Kansas State by 8. That's my question. I think it's going to happen. They're tough at home. Hilton Magic. Lipsy plays. I'll be even happier. I'm taking the 7.5. It's DePaul. I mean, what do you want me to do? It's DePaul. Okay. There's not much to say about that. I'm taking Marquette minus 17.5. Illinois on the road. I get it, but Northwestern is tough. They beat Purdue at home. Their defense is good at home. Kind of like them here, plus 3.5. Illinois, Brad Underwood's done a great job. If it wasn't for Lamont Paris at South Carolina, you can make an argument that Brad Underwood should be coach of the year. He's done a brilliant job. Illinois 14-4, 5-2, has good chemistry here. They won away at Michigan. They struggled away at Purdue. Now they're going to Northwestern here. Illinois is Indiana coming up. I like this Northwestern team at home. They're tough. They beat Maryland at home. They beat Michigan State at home. They beat Purdue at home in overtime. You're going to give me points on the road in the Big Ten. Not that Illinois is some incredible juggernaut here. I'll take Boo Booey and 3.5 points. And finally, this rounds up our entire discussion today about the bounce back. Utah versus Washington State. Utah looks fantastic. But in their last game, of course, they were still, I believe, did he come back in the last game? That's my question. Yeah, Worcester did not come back. I don't know if he's ready to go tonight, but I do know that Utah played Washington State at home on Friday, December 29th, and beat them 80-58. So they beat them by 22 points at home, and tonight, Washington State is favored by 1. Why? Because it's really hard to cover, and I really like the Washington State head coach here, Kyle Smith. They lost away to California, but prior to that, they beat Arizona at home. They beat Stanford away. They beat USC. They've played very well. The only time they even lost to Oregon at home by 5. It was a very close game. The only time they've really totally bombed was Utah, and I think they make it up tonight, laying 1 here with Washington State. That should be it. Any questions coming in? FAU dangerous games. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Memphis FAU is going to be absolutely insane. Opinions on Nevada winning. Sorry, I didn't cover that one, Darryl. Let me get to that one for you right now. Nevada. Yeah, Nevada versus Colorado State. What is that line at? I think that's the reason I was hesitant, because I said, man, that line's getting up there. Yeah, it's 3.5. I would lean Nevada. It's not one of my plays here. I like Colorado State, but Nevada's lost 3 in a row. They need this one in the worst way. But Colorado is such a good team. Nico Medved does a fantastic job. They competed. They lost away at Utah State. They lost to Boise State. It's a close one. I would lean Nevada, but it's not a pick for me here at all. UTSA outright, Trevor. Sounds good. Fantastic. Oh, the Colorado-Washington game. Yeah, that's another one. On the road, just not one that I'm feeling comfortable with here, Trevor. That's the problem. Washington lost to Colorado by 4 away. That was a really good performance at Colorado. Now they're home, flip-flop. Is Washington going to lose twice to Colorado? Is Colorado, who's been a little shaky on the road? Arizona lost by 47. Arizona State away, terrible loss by 3. California away, lost by 4. We sure about Colorado's consistency here? That's why that one's a stay away for me. Sanderson, great having you here, big guy. I appreciate it. We're on opposite sides, my friend. I am not going with Sanford tonight. I am going with Furman. This, remember, Gus, I'm going to have back on here, Ben. Gus Kearns from Screen to Screen, who we used to do the podcast together, was a JMU grad. This is a massive rivalry game. So it's no Jeff Jones, but we got shaky JMU here on the road. That's why it's a stay away for me. Not commenting. JMU can get a little shaky. Old Dominion's a rivalry game. They're going to pack it for that place. That's a big rivalry. Not getting involved in that as well. Trevor, appreciate it. It's 3.5, I think it is. And Jerry's Gut says Northwestern. So does mine. That's it, folks. We are out of here. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're going Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And don't forget, tell a friend, tell an enemy, whatever you want to do. 9:30 on Saturday morning. We will be fired up. As always, give us a like, subscribe, share. Folks, love it here. College basketball, volume and accuracy. That's what we're going for. I'm Mike Randle. Join us at FTN. You won't be disappointed. And as always, let's get to the window.